Noswaith, good evening to you all. It is Wednesday. We're at the end of August. Pre-season is over. It is officially cut down day as well in the NFL. A lot saying that this is, they call it Black Wednesday, which is basically when every single 32 NFL teams have to cut their roster, have to trim their roster down to 53 players. And by now, that was done yesterday, and by today, everyone knows who's going to be on their practice squads as well. So you get another 16 players to be on your practice squad. So it's been pretty tough for those in charge, the GMs, the owners, the head coaches, to come up with who they think, I guess, is going to give their team the best chance to win, and ultimately, Gito, we have hundreds of NFL players either unemployed after today or hoping to either receive a phone call from their agent to say you've been picked up by another franchise, or you're still waiting for that call, which is obviously not ideal for anyone in this situation. So obviously there's this. As a disclaimer, guys, this episode is going to be very hectic because we've got a lot to talk about. We just finished the last few games of the preseason, and of course, the most exciting news of all is a week tomorrow is the beginning of the regular season. We've been dreaming about this guitar for the last 6 months. Big week of previews for us here on the podcast, entering our first full season on the NFL Cymru podcast. Hope that you guys can join us. So, Gito, how do you feel about that? And where are we going to start off this evening?
Yeah, we're just over a week away until week one regular season finally begins. This is what we've been talking about pretty much all summer, counting down to next week. I'm very excited for it, David. We did a bit of a practice run at the start of the year, when we did our first podcast previewing the Super Bowl game. So I'm really excited to go on this journey with you, with the new season coming up, going each week by week, going through all the games and just doing what we do. I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, as you mentioned as well, it's the cuts day for the teams. I just feel bad for a lot of the players who have played during pre-season, have been showing pretty decent, skill sets, thinking that they're good enough for the roster, but unfortunately for most of them, they're not going to make the 53-man. Some won't even make the practice squad. So, yeah, it's a tough day for the NFL, and like you said, David, today is going to be a hectic podcast for us. A lot has happened in the last few days, so we will be going through it. But we've just finished pre-season, so we'll go through the pre-season games. I think the first game we'll be going through, I think one of the big major key on the pre-season, I think we should talk about the New York Giants against the New England Patriots. Giants won the game 42-10. Now, I've been raving about Jackson Dart through all pre-season. I'm a big fan of him, and just as well, he's had a very good game again this time around. 6 completion out of 12, 81 yards, and he scored a touchdown. So a good end to a pre-season for Jackson Dart, who did make the 53-man squad. An interesting one here, Tommy DeVito, formerly known as a Giant as well. He did play for the Giant in this game. He did quite okay. He did really well, I should say, actually. 17 out of 20, 198 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But he actually did not make the 53-man squad. He was actually waived or released by the Giants. He has been picked up by a team, and who is that team? The New England Patriots, funnily enough. So that
was his audition, Gito, clearly.
It just shows how crazy of a day this is in the NFL, how crazy of a week it is to make the 53-man squad. You play against someone, you play really well against them, you get released from the team, and that team you've just beaten picks you up. So it's a crazy time for the NFL. This is what we love about the NFL, the unpredictability of it. So
absolutely,
yeah, absolutely crazy.
say
I
the
want to
least.
talk about the Falcons quickly before we move on to the last game, before we
Yeah.
talk about our boy here. Just want to quickly go through the Falcons. We lost 13-31 to the Cowboys. A lot of people, a bit worried. We're 0-3 in preseason. We haven't won a game. Me personally, I'm not too worried. We were 0-3 last season in preseason as well, before the regular season. And, we obviously we could have made the playoffs if we won that 2 extra games, but, I'm not worried about that at all. The only thing I would say I'm a bit confused with the decision. Easton Stick played every game in preseason. He did okay. He scored a couple of touchdowns, over 200 average 200 yards per game, and he's been released. He did not make the 53-man squad. So I'm not sure on that decision on the Falcons as to why we released Easton Stick, which leaves us with 2 quarterbacks in the squad, which some teams would normally have at least 3 quarterbacks. So which just leaves us with Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins. So hopefully we don't lose both of them at the same time during the season. But that's it for the Falcons. Easton Stick has been released after a pretty good showing in the preseason, I believe.
My guess, Gito, sorry, just before you move on, my guess is that Easton Stick, unless he's been claimed by any other team, I'm guessing the Falcons will be hopeful that he comes back to your practice squad, because especially he knows the offense. He's been in the offense all summer long, whereas the other option is you're going to grab a brand new QB who doesn't know the system, has to learn the playbook very, very quickly because the regular season starts next week.
Yeah.
I think I should imagine so that's going to be the scenario, don't you think?
Possibly so, yeah. But it just shows as well the unpredictability of the NFL.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's a great good point there, David. The last game we want to talk about, David, and I'm going to follow this up with a question to you. So the Bears and the Chiefs, it was a very good game from what I understand. Bears 29, Chiefs 27. Tyson Bagent against Patrick Mahomes. Tyson Bagent 20 out of 28, 212 yards and 3 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes did score a touchdown in that game as well. A lot of people saying that Patrick Mahomes looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run down quickly through all of the preseason stats for Tyson Bagent. I'm gonna follow up with a question for you. So through all the 3 games in preseason, 46 throws or 69 attempts, so that's 66%. 511 yards and 5 touchdowns for Tyson Bagent. My question to you is Tyson Bagent the greatest quarterback in preseason history?
My goodness me. Well, he is now, isn't he? I mean, no, those stats speak for themselves. That guy has been absolutely balling, and Gito, obviously, well, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, because he received a contract extension last week. We talked about it in our last episode. So clearly, the league and especially the Chicago Bears have been noticing here. Ooh, this guy is an absolute baller. He knows the offense. He's been in the system for a couple of years. He's very, very reliable. Gito, quickly, have you got the stats? And did he even throw an interception?
There was one interception. One interception in 3 games.
One interception. But still, the ratio of 5 touchdowns to 1 interception is very, very, very good. Yeah. I saw him in the first preseason game when they played the Dolphins. I was very, very impressed. His poise in the pocket was really good. He's got a cannon of an arm, and he was very accurate as well. And clearly, he's gone from strength to strength as well, because I think he didn't even play the whole game. He played the first half during the Dolphins game. So he's literally, his curve has been going up like this, hasn't he? So obviously he's been rewarded, and it's kind of a shame now that obviously, apart from an injury to Caleb Williams, we're not going to see him in the regular season, which is a shame. But obviously, if anything does happen, I guess it's great for the Bears fans to know that you've got a really, really solid backup quarterback. And I can't tell you how important a decent backup quarterback is in this league. Unfortunately, the Dolphins paid for not having not 1, not 2, but 3 decent backup quarterbacks last season, because the injury bug hit our QB room, and we were down to we were literally buying people off the street by the end. But anyway, back to Tyson Badgett. He's had a phenomenal pre-season.
Yeah.
His stock could not be higher. And like I said, hopefully, you never know, Guitar. If Caleb Williams say if the Bears start off 0-3, 0-4. I know there's a new regime there as well, and I think they'll still stick with him. But maybe will there be like a kind of like a quarter of the Bears fans maybe asking for Tyson Badgett to start instead of Caleb Williams? I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think the Bears will be that bad this year. I think they're going to be better than last year. But at least, they're in a really, really good position.
Yeah.
As the Atlanta Falcons should be, because obviously you've got Kirk Cousins. However, the only thing, just going back to the Falcons quickly, Guitar, have any of your starters played through the preseason? Have you noticed at all?
From what I've read, I don't think anyone has, especially our quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I don't think, obviously Bijan hasn't played, but I don't think Algier didn't have a drive either, to be honest with you. I believe Ray McLeod had a couple, our wide receiver. Third or fourth wide receiver, but Daniel Mooney, I think he's out injured anyway. Drake London, he wasn't picked at all. So, but no, apart from Daniel Mooney, we have a pretty fresh team going into League One. A very difficult game against the Tampa Bay.
Yeah, absolutely. So there we are. Those were the last rounds, the round 3 of the pre-seasons there. And like I said, I wouldn't worry about being 0-3 in the pre-season. Guitar, it means absolutely nothing when it comes down to the regular season, which is all important. So, literally, what was it? A couple of hours ago, the news dropped that Kyle Hamilton has just signed a massive extension. He's probably one of my favourite players in the NFL, Guitar. I think he's an absolute stud of a player for the Baltimore Ravens. He's the best safety in the league. And he actually, he's now, and fairly so, he is the highest paid safety in the league, leapfrogging Kirby Joseph of the Detroit Lions. What was the contract?
Yeah, so a massive contract. Ravens have signed safety Kyle Hamilton to a 4-year, $100 million extension. 100 million. That's just breaking the bank, isn't it? But for a player of his, he's one of the best in the league. Of course, he's one of your favourite players, as I mentioned. I think the Ravens did want to get this over the line for quite a while, and today's a good day for Ravens fans. He's a baller, he's a great player, and I don't think there'll be any complaints about this one, David. He's a beast of a player, and price tag probably with obviously the current climate of the NFL, with how contracts essentially goes, etc., with the amount the players are getting, 100 mil probably a decent shout for this player.
Yeah. It's kind of obviously all of these like blockbuster moves when you hear massive dollar amount like 100 million contract, 120 million contract. It is a little bit deceiving, isn't it, Git Up? Because if you actually look at what the guaranteed money a player gets, even though Hamilton has signed a 100 million contract, his guaranteed money is probably still extremely significant. He's probably guaranteed half, if not maybe 60 million there. It obviously depends on the length of the contract. I think it's what is it, a 4-year extension? I think it was.
Yes.
So the thing that I love about Kyle Hamilton, Gitta, is his versatility. He can play strong side safety. I think he's played cornerback in the past as well, and he is the quarterback of the defense in Baltimore. He's the one that's got what they call the green dot on the helmet, which means he's the one that receives the calls from the defensive coordinator. So that's why they call him the QB of the defense. And like I said, I think Kirby Joseph is another one. I think Budda Baker from Arizona is another fantastic safety, but for me, Kyle Hamilton is in a league of his own at the moment. And the other one is if Christie is listening, I have to put Antoine Winfield Jr. in that league as well from Tampa Bay, because I think he's absolutely outstanding as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, well deserved. Kyle Hamilton there. Slightly different, this next one, Guitar. Talking about the Chiefs.
Mm.
And unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to see many of the games, many of the last preseason games, but I heard, like you said, that Mahomes looked like Mahomes. He
Yeah.
looked very comfortable in the pocket. I saw a few scrambles that he got for a decent yards. He got, one touchdown. Didn't play the whole game, obviously. Neither did the starters. However, the announcement came today that, well, we've been waiting for this for a long, long, long time. We knew that Rashee Rice, their star wide receiver, was going to have some sort of suspension due to him. Basically, it was a hit and run, basically. So he crashed his car down in Dallas over the summer, the beginning of the summer, and he
Yeah.
didn't stop and he drove away. And apparently, there were a lot of people injured and so on and so forth. So he's had a 6-game suspension. Gito, is that fair or is that a bit extensive in your mind?
Well,
Knowing that usually, sorry,
yeah.
before you start, just to
Yeah.
give context, usually for things like this, for instance, if you're caught taking banned substances, it's a 3-game
Yeah.
suspension. So some people are saying that this is a little bit extensive, but the Chiefs are going to be without him for the first 6 weeks of the regular season, and that's that, basically.
Yeah. It's luckily that he didn't kill anyone.
Oh,
Has to,
100%. Yeah.
has to be said. Has to be said.
Yep.
So, yeah, a 6-game. It's hard to tell, really. I think he does deserve a bit of a suspension. I think it does. He's been made guilty of it, so I think he does deserve a suspension. Whether if 6-game is fair or not fair, I'm not an expert on these kind of things, to be honest with you, David. So
Yeah. The problem,
it's one of them that it could have gone either way. I think. I think
the problem,
6-game is fair, but I think it could have been
yeah.
more.
I think the problem here is Gito is the fact that he didn't stop
Yeah, exactly.
after the incident itself. And for those of you guys who've been, NFL fans, another, just we had a tragic accident involving a former Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver. Do you remember Henry Ruggs? He was speeding. He crashed into a car, and unfortunately, a family that was in the other car lost their life, and he is now in prison. So literally, life, even for an NFL player, can change like that. So obviously, the NFL have to make an example of him. And personally, although I think he's an absolutely brilliant player, ultimately, he's been really, really naive here. And although I'd love to see him back in the field, I think 6 games is fair. I think we'll leave that there, shall we? So, Gito, another few transactions that have come through today, actually. We're going to piggyback on these because 2 of them involve players going back to the teams that drafted them in the first place. And I think this is a lovely story. First of all, a couple of hours ago, it had been reported that the Vikings had been wanting to trade for their former wide receiver Adam Thielen, who had been with the Carolina Panthers for a couple of years. He's now gone back to Minnesota, potentially for his last season in the NFL. I don't know. He's well into his 30s. And the other one, Gita, is Amari Cooper going back to the Raiders. He spent the last season with the Bills, I believe. So he was another free agent as well. So I especially like Adam Thielen going back to the Vikings. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, me too. I've seen a video as well. There was like a family reaction.
Nice.
Thielen's family reaction going back to Minnesota, and they were all celebrating. I think he's very well respected in Minnesota. just talk about his time with the Panthers as well quickly. He's obviously he was a household name in there as well. He was actually made captain for a couple of seasons there as well.
All right, okay.
So he had the captain in his jersey, so shows how much of a good leader he is as well. So it's actually a really nice story for him to go back to his home turf in Minnesota as well. So
Yeah.
I'm very pleased about that one. I'll just run through the trade with you quickly.
Yeah.
Vikings get Thielen, a conditional 2026 7th round pick and a 2027 5th round pick, while the Panthers get a 2026 5th round pick and a 2027 4th round pick.
Pretty decent. Okay.
Yeah, pretty good pick. So pretty decent.
The only thing that where does this leave the Panthers in terms of their wide receiver room? I know that they've drafted Tetaroya McMillan in the first round, and I think he's obviously going to be Bryce's go-to. However, Adam Thielen has been his go-to over the last 2 seasons, and obviously Panthers have really, really struggled on offense. I can't even tell you who else is in their wide receiver room, if I'm honest with you, Gittard. Maybe this is my ignorance, or they don't have many household names, as you were saying, and especially if Thielen was a captain over the past few years.
Yeah.
And do you know what, Gittard? He's been playing really well into his 30s. Like, I remember him playing against the Dolphins last season, and he absolutely tore us up. He got like 150 yards against us. He's really, really savvy player. And it was really cool to hear about the family reaction, because I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that he's a local boy. I think he's from Minnesota as well.
Possibly so, yeah. But no, I love that video. It actually cheered me up that then. So yeah, lovely. It's a great story as well. That's what the NFL gives you: great stories, great storylines here and there. Not that I'm saying the NFL is scripted by any means. A lot of people think that it is, but yeah, no, this is one of them feel good stories in the NFL. So that was that one. And who was it was Amari Cooper that's gone to the Ravens.
Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
I again, again, like, last season with the Bills, he was pretty decent. I don't know if he's going to start for the Raiders this year. I guess he's another option, another weapon for Gino to use. But yeah, again, obviously, this potentially might be his last season as well, and he's thinking of going back to Vegas. Not to Vegas, to the Raiders, because I believe, they were back in Oakland. The Raiders were in Oakland when they first drafted him. So maybe he wants to go back to the Raiders to finish off his career, which is, again, a really, really cool story. I don't think he's going to be as active potentially as Thielen is going to be in Minnesota potentially, because I know that they needed some help, because I believe Jalen Reagor is going to be out for a couple of weeks. He got injured during preseason, so I think he's going to miss at least the first month of the regular season. So I guess that's why, another reason why they'd want to bring Thielen back to the Vikings. So another transaction, very noteworthy, that broke over the last couple of days was, I think we talked about Mr. Trey Hendrickson last episode, didn't we? And the stalemate going on between himself and the Cincinnati Bengals. They finally come to some sort of conclusion. It's not an extension. He's basically signed a 1-year deal, and he has... Basically, they've given him more guaranteed, more upfront money. So his salary this year has gone through the roof. But I thought that was interesting, Gito, is they haven't added any more years onto the contract.
Yeah, I was quite surprised with this one as well, to be honest. A 1-year deal, boosting his 2025 salary to 30 mil. So it's been raised by 14 million, so it's quite a decent jump, but... From what we've seen from the trends recently, I was quite surprised with how low the number was. But I think it's part of the plan that the Bengals have. They did want to keep him. Trey Hendrickson made it quite public that he was looking to leave to other teams, to other franchises.
He asked for a trade, didn't he? Yeah,
he did. So the Bengals tried to do everything they could to try and keep him. I think this fits both parties as of now. So it's one less worry for the Bengals for this season. How they finish next season, if they make the playoffs or if they miss out on the playoffs or if they go even further than the playoffs, we'll have to wait and see, and maybe circumstances will be different. But as of now, anyway, Trey Hendrickson for the new season will be a Bengals player.
Yeah. Obviously, this means that he is going to be a free agent at the end of the season. He's probably going to be the top free agent, let's be honest, Gito, because, like I said, he is one of the top three edge rushers in the league. He's had the most sacks over the last couple of seasons in the NFL, sack leader. So do you know what? I look forward to him getting out of Cincinnati, because as a franchise, this might come out as a little harsh, but I find them very, very frustrating with how they do their business. I think I just I understand what they've done with their wide receivers. I know Jamar Chase is probably, a 1 in a million wide receiver. Did they need to keep T. Higgins as well? Would they be able to designate that money elsewhere? That would be my counter argument. And maybe they could have given Hendrickson an extension here, but maybe the Bengals, like I said, maybe they don't want to keep him, because I believe he's 28 or 29, so he's still got another few years left in his prime. So he's going to be a top free agent when I said at the end of the next regular season. I just thought that the Bengals could have gone about in a better way, about their business when dealing with this. And I don't think there's going to be. Well, it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see if there's going to be any tension between the two parties as well. I don't think there will be now, because they've given him his money up front, which means he's guaranteed a salary for this year. But yeah, something to note about at the end of the season, something to look forward to anyway. Another massive deal went down. We're ticking these off. I'm ticking them off and make sure that we're not forgetting anything. The other blockbuster deal that went down was obviously another stalemate was broken between Terry McLaurin, and the Washington Commanders. He signed I think it's a 3-year extension, I believe.
Yeah, it is. So, Commanders wide receiver Terry McLaurin agrees to a 3-year, $96 million contract. A couple of moves we need to talk about as we end the episode on the Commanders, but we'll go with this one first, the Terry McLaurin deal. Yeah, a $96 million contract here. It's so they've got their wide receiver now. Even though they've signed Deebo Samuel from the 49ers, I think keeping Terry McLaurin, I think he will be WR1 for the season. With Deebo Samuel, having Deebo Samuel next to him, it's not a pretty bad shout either. So, but they wanted to make sure that they keep Terry McLaurin. I think I just had it in my head for some reason. I didn't hear a lot of news about Terry McLaurin leaving or finishing in his contract. So I think the Commanders was trying to be careful here with keeping some of the best players. Obviously, they want to keep their best weapons with Jaden Daniels, because he is one of the quarterbacks of the future. So keeping Terry McLaurin, especially for another 3 years, while Jaden Daniels is developing to become a great quarterback, even though it's a pricey contract, $96 million, I think they've done pretty good business here.
Absolutely. I'm a massive fan of this move. And ultimately, I think we said in the last episode, we didn't see him leaving. We didn't see him going anywhere. Although they were in a stalemate, he was still turning up to training camp, although I don't think he participated. Like I said, both parties wanted to work things out, and I'm really glad that they finally got to an agreement, because I think he's one of the underrated wide receivers in the NFL. And like you said, he's always, even with Deebo coming from the 49ers, he was always going to be wide receiver 1. So I completely agree with you there. Gitta, that's all I'm going to say. Washington Commanders, watch this space. I genuinely think I went back and I was watching highlights of Jaden Daniels' rookie season. Oh my God, that guy is unreal. He
Yeah.
is unreal. And obviously you don't know what's going to happen. A lot of rookies tend to kind of have what they call a sophomore slump, which is when they kind of decrease in terms of their production in the second year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just see the Commanders have just literally, they've added so much weapons to their roster on both sides. They have a really solid core of veterans as well, and I love that the coaching staff over there. Obviously, being in the same division as the Eagles, it's always going to be very, very tough. But ultimately, guitar, I just have something. I just have that feeling that it just something says that I don't know. They're going to be a problem once again this year, and especially if they do manage to win the division and to get home field advantage, then oof, wow! I really, really look forward to it. But
Yeah. I think.
piggying back, by the way, on the Commanders,
Yeah.
the other move worth noting was, I'm going to leave that up to you.
Yeah, Brian Robertson Jr., a running back. They've finalised the move. He is on his way, or he's already there, into San Francisco 49ers. This is a move I did not expect, to be honest with you. I was expecting the Commanders to keep hold of Brian Robertson Jr. They've made a trade deal for to the 49ers, and the Commanders will receive a 6th round pick going back to them. So I think that's a fair deal in terms of the trade. I was quite surprised of the trade. Who's the main running back now for the Commanders? Do they have one? Because I thought it was Brian Robinson Jr.
Trying to think who it is now. Off the top of my head, I can't remember who it is. Obviously, but yeah, have a look. Obviously, Brian Robinson Jr. is a brilliant story because it's only 2 seasons ago that during the off season he got shot in the leg, didn't he? And he had
He
to
got shot
rehab.
twice, didn't he?
Oh, shot twice, yeah. And he
Yeah.
had to and he had to rehab that, and he came back that season.
Yeah.
The obviously, so the 49ers, from what I hear, have had a lot of injuries to their running back room, and they were looking for because Brian Robinson Jr. is a big back. He's a big power runner. He's a bit of a bruiser. So, to be honest with you, I thought that they'd be able to get more than a 6th round pick, because I don't know. I can't. I don't, again. I don't know how. I don't know what his age. I don't think he's close to 30. Is he, Brian Robinson
He's
Jr.? I'm not quite
in
sure.
he's definitely in his late 20s.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, yeah.
There we go.
So
Cool.
if I was, I
25.
think it,
Sorry,
if
sorry,
I
Derek,
was.
he's 26. 26.
I was 26. I was going to say if I was San Francisco, I'd be really, really happy with that move.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really good. The question is, does he fit in the scheme up there in San Francisco? Because usually they like to use, apart from, well, because you've got McCaffrey, so I guess he might be the third down back, or short yardage running back potentially. If it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, whatever, he's going to be the one potentially trying to move the pile and get the first down. So I guess he's going to be a good comparison to McCaffrey. Anything else to note about the Commanders before we move on?
I think that's all from the Commanders. I also want to point out quickly the running back duo of Christian McCaffrey and Brian Robinson Jr. That's a pretty good duo for a running back.
Nice, isn't it? Especially if McCaffrey is back to his old self of 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, me being biased, I'm not sure if it's as good as Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier of the Falcons, but we are actually playing 49ers this season, so that'll probably be a good game to watch. That one, I'm looking forward to that one now. So, but
nice.
That's all from the Commanders camp, and I believe we've gone through everything we need to go through.
We haven't. We've got one more to go.
Oh,
for our honorary one of our honorary guests that was on early on during our time here on the NFL pod, NFL Cymru podcast rather. I thought we would finish. It's good to note that the New Orleans Saints have finally told us who's going to be
yes.
their QB1. So that was the last one I was going to finish with, if that's
Yeah.
okay.
Good
So
shout. Good shout.
so
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I, if I'm honest with you, I know Canan Oil, who hosts the Welsh language NFL pod, Ydy'r Helmed and Ffitio. He's been over in
Yeah.
Ireland, by the way, watching an amazing college football game. Have you seen that? He was watching the Kentucky Wildcats
Yeah.
against, who do they play?
Iowa. So it was Iowa State.
Iowa State. Yes, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had some really, really good footage. So if you haven't watched him, look on his go on his socials. I did Helmet and Ffitio, or go to Cananano on socials. Looks amazing in first NFL game to be held in Ireland, I believe. Second
That'll
one
be
to
soon.
be
Yeah.
very, very soon. Obviously the Steelers. Is it Steelers Vikings?
Steelers Vikings.
Yeah,
Yes.
cool. So anyway, back to New Orleans. Canan Anol has been pumping up their rookie Tyler Sow, hasn't he, for the last couple of months. However, his heart might be slightly broken because the organisation that he dearly loves has come out and said, nope, we're not going to go with our rookie. We're going to stick with Spencer Rattler, who is actually only going into his second season and has only been a starter for half a season last year, if that,
Yeah.
maybe less. I think this is a sensible move, Guitar. Don't you agree?
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think they do agree with it. I personally agree with going with Spencer Rattler. I was there during his first game when I went to New Orleans last year against the Bucks. He scored a couple of touchdowns. I even watched some of his highlights from last season, and it's shown, he's done some decent, difficult throws as well. So, having someone who has the most experience in that quarterback room, I believe they've released Jake Hayner as well. I'm not sure if I'm correct, or they've waived him. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But Spencer Rattler over Tyler Shock, I think, for now, that is the best move. But no doubt, if things don't improve in the quarterback room, they will definitely be going for another quarterback next season.
Yeah, I was going to say, with all due respect, I'd be shocked if the Saints don't end up with a top 5 pick in next year's NFL draft. But Guitar, that's what we love about the NFL is, you can be one of the worst teams one year and all of a sudden you can turn it around, have a mini rebuild, and you can be competitive the next year. So we never know. We really, really never. I doubt it, to be honest with you, because I do feel that the Falcons and the Bucks especially are going to be very, very strong in that division, and I think the Panthers are going to get better, even though they have traded away Thielen, like we've already covered. So I still ultimately think that the Saints are going to struggle, put it that way.
Yeah. No, it's not a season to look forward to if you're a Saints fan. So, but it's a season to look forward to if you're a Falcons fan, because we're hoping 100%. To do the double against them this season.
Yeah. So I believe that is all the news. I mean, obviously there are other moves that have happened during especially during roster cuts day and finalising who's going to be on whose practice squad and whatever. But we went through just before pressing record and we thought those are the most notable ones so far. Obviously, the process is still ongoing into the night here in Wales, back in the US as well. But we're going to finish, Guitar, to remind the viewers and the listeners what to look forward to as we prepare, as we count down to the beginning to the regular season, like I said, which is going to be a week tomorrow. So the Eagles, the Super Bowl champions, are going to be hosting. It's an interdivisional game. They're going to be hosting the Cowboys. A cracking way to start a season, I believe. Don't really know what to expect from the Cowboys this year. From what I hear, Guitar, what I've been seeing, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are looking very, very good in training camp. I don't think they played during during preseason. The only thing to note, Guitar, another thing is to look forward to. Is Micah Parsons going to play for the Cowboys?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. The Cowboys, they're one of them team. They make the most noise through the season, and they don't
Yes.
deliver. So it will be interesting to see what happens with the Dallas Cowboys this season. I'm sticking to my gut. I don't expect a whole lot, especially being in the same division as the Eagles and as the Commanders. I won't be surprised if the Giants beat them at least once this season. Either at home. I think, just because it's the Cowboys. So I think it's just one of them. But no, it will be interesting, and it's a good way to open the season as well with Eagles and Cowboys. Another game we should be looking forward to as well is a Friday night game, the second game having held in Brazil, which will be streamed live on YouTube for free for viewers. The Chiefs and the Chargers.
Get on down after watching our week one preview on YouTube. You might as well go over to watch. Is it? I think it's the Chiefs Chargers, isn't it? In
Chiefs
in
and
Brazil?
Chargers in Sao Paulo.
Chiefs Chargers,
Yeah.
another interdivisional game. Fantastic, the AFC West. Absolutely fantastic. More and more of these games, guys, are more accessible to you, either streaming free, because we've had a few games on Netflix, on Amazon Prime. Now we're having on YouTube, and it's great to see that. Obviously, the NFL is opening up to outside of subscriptions, so you don't have to pay to watch an NFL game, which is amazing. So hopefully, and especially to one absolutely, one of the GOAT in my opinion, and another pretty decent quarterback in Justin Herbert going against each other. What a fantastic preview that would be. Just quickly on the Cowboys before we end, Guitar. I don't see Micah Parsons and the Cowboys coming to an agreement anytime soon. So I think I don't think he's going to be playing in the first regular season game. I think he will hold in until he is traded. I genuinely think so. And
I wouldn't be surprised as well, to be honest. It doesn't seem like a good situation to be in at the moment if you're a Cowboys fan, if you're in the Cowboys camp. So I won't be surprised if we see that move happen after week one.
Absolutely. So like we said, we're counting down to week one. We're going to have a preview episode. Hopefully before we'll get it out before the first regular game of the season, which is next Thursday. And with that, Guitar, we're going to throw a few new elements into our regular weekly show. We're going to have we're going to do some predictions. We're going to have top 5 things to watch, top 5 players to watch, and all sorts. We're going to be moving things around, and we're going to try and keep you and us on our toes, obviously, throughout the regular season. Obviously, can't wait to get started. Our first official regular season for us on the pod. And just before we finish, Guitar, I think you said at the beginning of the pod, going back to when we previewed the Super Bowl, it just feels, for me, it feels so long ago, and it was so long ago, to be fair. It was back in February, and here we are, almost at the eve of the regular season.
Yeah, no, it's been a really good day. We've been covering a lot this year as well. We've almost done one episode a week, apart from maybe missing a few weeks here and there. So, but we've been counting it down to pretty much next week, the start of the regular season. We've got a lot of ideas, like as David has mentioned. We're going to be doing top 5s, predicting games, reviewing games, player of the week. We've got a few ideas. If you follow us on our socials as well, Instagram and Twitter/X at NFL Cymru Pod, a lot of our tweets will be on there, a lot of our posts, a lot of our predictions. We'll be doing some polls as well, so to get all of you guys involved as well. But as always, you can get involved with us on the comment section here on YouTube as well. If you have any ideas, let us know. We'd love to have as much ideas as we can, David. Try and grow the brand here and try to grow the sport here in Wales.
Absolutely.
As I mentioned earlier, our good friend Conan Anwell, he's doing a tremendous job with his podcast at the moment. The Helmet Officio, he's doing a really good job. And yeah, we just wanted to grow the sport of the NFL in Wales in the end. So it's an exciting year for us. It's an exciting time. We're really looking forward to it. It's going to be, I believe it's going to be a really good season, not just for the NFL, but for us as well, David.
Yeah, completely agree. Echo everything that you said there. Like you said, I'm sure you can probably feel our excitement through your screens, and because we can't wait to get going, and it's almost upon us now. Almost a week, just over a week to go, as Gito just said there. That's going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for following us. Like you said, like Gito said, follow us on the show, on the socials at NFL Cymru Pod. Gito has been working behind the scenes on some new graphics as well. Look out for those. And they're already on show. Actually, I saw tonight, Gito, with some of the breaking news. Good work. And like I said, come back next week for our week 1 preview. Can't wait to get going. Hopefully, we'll see you next week as well. Until then, diolch yn fawr iawn. Nos da.